I will not go amongst the lepers. I cannot save their souls. I am not Jesus Christ. Man, I'm not even whole. So I cannot worry about Gomorrah. Who am I to be a signing foe? Just struggling to be a stand-up guy, not turn into a pillar of soul. I cannot raise you up, so don't you count on me. How could you ever think I could make the blind see? So I cannot worry about Gomorrah. Who am I to be signing for? Just struggling to be a stand-up guy, not turn into a pillar of soul. I blow my trumpet with all my might, but the wall it still surrounds. Stones of Jericho, they're holding tight, so pay no heed to the sound. I will not argue with the angels about the goodness of all of man. You cannot argue that you're righteous from an island made of sand. I cannot worry about Gomorrah. Who am I to be signing for? Just struggling to be a stand-up guy, not turn into a pillar of soul. Yeah, I'm struggling to be a stand-up guy, not turn into a pillar of soul. So what's the meaning behind Worry About Gomorrah? Worry About Gomorrah is the first single from my new album, Lean Into the Letter, which is coming out on January 17th, 2020. Worry About Gomorrah came about after a trip I took to Israel. We had found some letters that were in my great-grandmother's things that had not been discovered until just recently. And the letters were from her nephew, who we thought passed away with all her family in the Holocaust. And it turns out he survived and immigrated to Israel. And we were able, through some internet searches, find clues, and were able to eventually locate his granddaughter. And we then traveled over to Israel and met them. It also gave us an opportunity to travel around and see all the amazing historic and old religious sites, and kind of be immersed in some of that tension that is there in Jerusalem and in Israel currently. And so Worry About Gomorrah is really about my thoughts on our own vulnerabilities as human beings. I spent all this time kind of looking at these amazing holy sites and going to where, you know, supposedly Jesus was crucified and, you know, rose from the dead, and went to the Western Wall and went to some of the mosques, and it gave me a lot to think about in terms of how are we able as humans to be better people? How are we able to improve ourselves? And Worry About Gomorrah is this expression of how fallible we are as humans. And I think that ultimately that's the thing that connects us all, is that we're all flawed. We're all broken. And so Worry About Gomorrah is this song about connection through vulnerability. So in writing Worry About Gomorrah, and largely the rest of the album, Lean Into the Letter, I spent a lot of time in the mountains of Idaho. I live in Boise, Idaho, and went up into the mountains. There's a cabin up there that I go to, and this particular song, I was in the cabin during a snowstorm, and again thinking about this idea of vulnerability, and you know, in contrast with kind of all my thoughts on religion, and it was one of these songs that just kind of fell out of me. You know, sometimes you get lucky when you're writing, and these songs just appear, and they seem to be already written, maybe, you know, sent in from somewhere else. I don't know, but it was one of these songs that I didn't really do much rewriting of. I didn't really change anything once it showed up, which I felt very fortunate to have. You know, sometimes you have those things where it seems right, and this was one of those songs. And I'm not sure if that was because you know, when you're a songwriter, you know, you're writing about things that are important to you, but oftentimes they're written in a way meant to be more universal. And this song was a very personal song, and I think it was successful in that way because I was writing from that moment, intrinsically how I felt. So in recording this song and the whole album, I came and I met with Brandon Wallace here at Luckstone Studios, which here we are, in Boise, Idaho, and I told him the story of finding the letter and, you know, going to Israel and discovering family, and my experiences kind of exploring the religious and political themes there in Israel. And Brandon kind of met me where I was. He really kind of took ownership, and I think I had a great understanding for what I was trying to accomplish. Initially, I was not trying to create an album for a larger audience. It was a much more personal thing. And Brandon and I worked very easily together. It was a wonderful and trusting relationship, and because of that, I think that we were able to explore some sonic spaces that I would not have recorded on my own. I would not have gone to where I was. I was able to really feel comfortable exploring some spaces he pushed me into. it was a great experience. So lean into the letter. It's coming out January 17th, 2020. You can find me on leepennsky.com or Facebook me, Lee Penn Sky. Facebook. You can find Luckstone Studios out there. Thanks to Music of the Future for having me on. Have a great year.